Hello. Something just ain't sitting right. Give me a second. Drink some more juice. Okay, that's better. Hello and welcome back to Murder Mystery Machine. We are on chapter, I want to say like 7, 8? I don't remember. I just remember it's the hammer and the chain. It's the name of the stream. Also, I have no volume. Just concerning. Okay. There we go. If this partnership is going to work, we have to be honest with each other. I'm not the one that has been lying about some secret assignment this whole time. I'm sorry, I should have said earlier what Merrick asked me to do. But hand on heart, I don't know why he asked. We have a history that he dragged you into. You deserve to know what your captain is like. You deserve to know the truth. Merrick and I haven't always seen eye to eye, but it wasn't until Lou and I were working homicide at Onwin Investment Bank that everything changed. This was in the days before the DCA, but the archive should be accessible on the MMM. We're going back in time? What do we have? Body of Michael Dew worked here in the investment bank. Single straight to the head. You had a chance to look around yet? I was waiting for you. Waiting for me to do it, you mean? Good morning. I'm Detective Houston. I understand you found the victim. That's right. I'm the office secretary. I'm always the first in. Would you mind answering some questions? Okay, what do you need? What can you tell me about the victim? He may just be another victim to you, but he was our friend and colleague. I'm sorry, it must have been very hard for you finding him like this. Did you know him well? Michael was the senior investment manager. He worked here for years. What else can you tell me about him? He was a hard worker. He was dedicated to his job, even if he did make the odd risky investment. Risky investment? Well, with Michael, they paid off most of the time. Should he have been making risky investments as the senior investment manager? Mr. Ullman liked to see his employees take risks. He saw something in Michael. I suppose you'd call him his protege. You said that he was dedicated. Would he have been working late last night? He was still here when I left yesterday. He usually worked later on his own, but he seemed more stressed out recently. I've had him looking in the file archives recently. I think I startled him. Don't think he was expecting to see me. What was he doing in there? He said he was looking for an old account file, but he didn't want my help to find it. I take it there's some record of who's coming in and out of the building? All employees need to swipe in and out with their personal employee card. That's about it. No security guards? We have no need for any. There's no cash in the office. The standard alarms have always been enough. Never could have expected something like this to happen. Who else would have been around yesterday? The office was full during work hours. Like I said, he would have been working later alone. Is there anyone that could confirm he was here? Well, the associates and analysts would have all left by that time. There's the cleaner Hank. He's here later. And Mr. Onwin. The owner? No, Mr. Onwin Sr. is away on business at the moment. His son, Carl Onwin Jr. He's an investment manager, too. Tell me about Hank. He's a nice guy. Had a rough past. He's part of the Second Chance program. that gives ex-convicts a job, Mr. Onwin saw as a great opportunity to get them back into the workforce. He was happy to have him here, in his business. Mr. Onwin is a trusting man. He has a big heart. But still, to have an ex-convict working in an investment bank. He's only the cleaner, and like I said, there's no cash or anything in the office. He does like a bet, though. Mr. Onion Senior? No, Hank. He'll have his headphones on listening to He'll have his headphones on listening to the baseball. I even caught him once calling his bookmaker from my phone. I told him in no uncertain terms that it was the last time he was to do it. What did the other employees think of him? He also got along with most of them all right, I suppose. Michael was very welcoming when he started, though they might have been a bit distant recently. Distant? I'm not sure why, it just seemed like there was some tension. Anyone else that Hank was close to? Oddly, though, I saw him leaving with Carl recently. I didn't realize they were friends. Leaving together? That's odd. They were talking about going for a drink. Carl being nice to anyone was odd. What can you tell me about Carl Onwin? Let's just say that there aren't many similarities between him and his father, except their name. If he is so different from his father, how has he ended up as an investment manager? Don't get me wrong, he's not bad at his job. But he's not the best. He just doesn't seem to care about anything but himself. Something I overheard Mr. Onwin say he wanted to change. Change how exactly? Well, he was given his job to learn the value of the dollar, make an honest living for himself. That wasn't off the family name, but in my opinion, it's only made him worse. That's all for now. You've been in great help. Thank you. Interesting. Michael Dew. Blunt force trauma. That's it. Password on notepad. Which might let me into this. Recent money transfer on terminal. Stack of complaints. But no one wants to talk yet, okay. Ooh. A wooden plinth. And I'm doing that thing again where I go quiet. I'm sorry for that. I'm just wondering what matches, what doesn't, what's happening. You know what I mean? It's like you get watching a good mystery and you just want to know what's going on. Would you mind answering another couple of questions? Okay, what do you need? There were no hard feelings between Carl and Michael after his promotion. There's always your standard office rivalry, maybe some jealousy. Carl thought he was a shoo-in for the position. I don't think he liked the idea of answering to anyone else, especially with his name above the door. But like I said, Mr. Allen wanted Carl to make an honest living. So they don't get along, and that's pretty fair. That's pretty fair. So what do we know and what don't we know? What are the complaints about? What are the complaints about? Some of this stuff should make sense. That makes sense, yeah. So what else makes sense? That's the question. So we know Carl is the owner's son, Hank is the cleaner, and Michael's our victim. And Secretary is just kind of here. More stress than usual is... I feel like that should be something. Like that. And this feels like it should be something. But I don't know what. Would you mind it? Great. The one time I need to do the voice, I'm having problems. Wait. Would you mind answering another couple of questions? Okay, what do you need? So I'm guessing that with Michael's work ethic, he was usually the last swipe out of the office. If Hank had already finished, yeah. He was usually the last to leave and swipe out. Hank took pride in his work. He always makes sure the office, including the toilets, are clean for the morning. Compared to our old cleaner, it was a nice surprise. Okay. That have something to do with that? No. I wonder why he was more stressed. Also, this... Here, let me undo that. This is an incorrect one. That I know. Something here. What did you find out? An unlocked desk drawer is not the most secure place to keep a password. If you found it so easily, anyone could have. So you think someone else made the transfer? If they had his password, it would be easy enough to access. We can't rule out that it was Michael just yet, though. Potential hack. Yeah, I didn't think that was likely. This? No. Okay, I want to break this, but I don't want to. Okay. So there's a lot of possibilities here. But it's hard to really be sure. You know what I mean? Most likely this is the murder weapon. And it's one of these two. There we go. What did you find out? You're a man that likes a bet. How tempting would it be working in an environment like this? What do you mean? You think Hank might have put his own money into an investment? If Michael and Hank had some recent tension, could it be down to some lost money?
It would make sense. Hank probably saw one of those risky investments as his chance to win big. Words escape me.
So how do we connect Carl in all this is a question. Like this. I mean, the jealousy is the connection, but... Can you tell me about the hierarchy in the office? Mr. Onwin Sr. at the top.
Michael was what you would call his right-hand man as senior investment manager, although he was only officially promoted recently. And the investment managers and the associates and analysts who reported to them.
And everyone was happy about Michael's promotion?
I don't know about happy, but he deserved it, that's for sure. Recently promoted. Might have to do with this.
Alright. Well, I'm just gonna roll with this, because I don't want to be stuck on this forever. Which is what'll happen, and we all know it'll happen. It is correct. Wonderful. We got back to the station, and Lou received a call almost right away.
From who?
Merrick, apparently. Checking up on the case. There was something up, though. Lou was shady about the conversation. He said he had told him we were going to see our prime suspect, Hank.
That's presumptuous after the secretary told you about Carl Onwin as well.
Hank had known priors, locked up for 4 years following possession of a firearm and selling stolen goods, but released after 18 months for good behavior.
Doesn't sound like he would want to risk getting caught up in a murder charge.
My thoughts exactly, but Lou was set on Hank from that moment on. Time of death had been confirmed at 9:30 p.m., give or take. And Hank's employee card registered as swiping out at 9:45 p.m., so we went to speak with him. Okay. I do like that our office fills up more as we do the cases, though. That's a lovely touch. Hank has dealt with people before, with police before, and if we push him too hard, he will just shut off.
He's an ex-con. If anything, we should be going in harder on him.
He's a suspect. That's no reason to go overboard. Let me take the lead on this one. Mr. Abbott, would you mind answering some questions?
Sure, what about?
We won't take up too much of your time. Just a few questions about Hank Miller.
Okay, go ahead.
You and Hank are friends?
We've known each other for years, even before he was inside.
Have you seen a change in him since he's been released?
For sure, he's making good use of the second chance. He shouldn't have been locked up like that in the first place.
I'd say possession of a weapon while moving on stolen goods is reason enough to get locked up.
The weapon wasn't even loaded, and it was in his car. He wouldn't have used it. Yeah, he knew how to work people.
What do you mean?
He knew how to read people, quick with his hands and an even quicker mouth.
So he was a con artist.
Some might call him that. He did what he had to.
So what happened with his arrest?
Him and his brother got mixed up with the wrong people. He only had the gun for show to scare them off in case they tried anything. Then the cops showed up, and your newly appointed Captain Merrick threw the book at him.
Are you trying to say you targeted Hank specifically?
Not just Hank, all of them. He was out to clean up the streets, as he put it. But he went too far. Everyone knew it.
Captain Merrick has made some great changes in this town.
Great changes for you, maybe. What's he done for us, the average Joe? He still lets those tough guys run the streets. They take the law into their own hands.
What are you talking about?
You know full well. Had 2 of them in last night looking for Hank again, and when you report them, nothing happens.
If you need anything else, I'll be in touch. Interesting. Do I gotta make connections already? I don't even get... Okay, I can talk to you. Oh, that is Hank. Okay. Excuse me. Hank Miller, I'm Detective Houston.
Okay, and?
I'd like to talk about Michael Dew. His body was found this morning.
And you think I had something to do with it?
We are just trying to find out what happened in the hours leading up to his death. So I'm sure you'll be cooperative.
I'll tell you what I can do to clear my name. I'll tell you what I can to clear my name.
What can you tell me about your relationship with Michael?
He was a good guy. Nice that someone in the world actually gave me the time of day.
In that world?
The almighty world of banking. You think I don't see how people look at me? Then I'm just next con.
So others look at you differently then?
I'm no idiot. I know what they think of me. Those egotistical bankers, only out for themselves. They're no better than most cons I know.
Anyone particularly full of themselves?
It's hard to tell from the rest most days. Maybe a different tie.
Look, I'm just trying to get an idea of what the office environment is like.
Well, when the boss's son spends most of his day looking down his nose at you, how do you think I feel?
Carl Unwin, what's his problem?
Rich kid that's had everything handed to him on a silver plate. What more is there to know? I thought he was going to say silver platter.
You're the cleaner at the office, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
What hours do you usually work?
Whatever they ask me. Always a Friday. I normally start when they are leaving the office about 6 p.m. Finish about 8, 9 p.m.
And last night?
9 p.m. I just been extra in the men's yesterday. Not a pretty sight. Well, anything else?
Nah. You said you left work yesterday at 9 p.m.
Sorry.
The key card recorded you leaving the building at 9:45 p.m. Can you explain that?
Sounds like someone found my key card.
Found?
I lost it.
And you didn't think to tell someone?
And get myself in trouble? No thanks. It's your key, your responsibility.
I understand that you and Michael had a falling out recently?
I wouldn't call it that.
What would you call it?
It's a misunderstanding.
Eh?
Look, I lost some money. Michael gave me some tips on an investment and didn't pan out, but we're all good.
I would have been pretty angry if someone had given me a dodgy tip.
You win some, you lose some. That's just how it goes.
You mentioned Carl Unwin. Doesn't sound like you two see eye to eye.
He's got his opinion and I've got mine.
Kind of strange, then, that you two went for a drink together recently.
I was surprised when he asked me to. I thought he was just trying to butter me up.
Why do you think he was trying to butter you up?
I saw him that day rummaging in Michael's drawer. To be honest, I didn't think much of it, but the rest of the day he was being overly nice. And then he asked to go for a drink at the Bird in the Hand.
And you met him? When was this?
Last week sometime, and yeah, I'm not going to
turn down a free beer, even if I did have to sit and listen to him drunkenly jabber on about his dad. What else did you talk about? Like I said, I was there for the beer. He did most talking, although I did see another side to him, a less ruthless side. Maybe he isn't such a bad guy. I'll look into all this when I'm done talking. Tell me more about these two that were looking for Hank. Have Lovenchart on his back. He must have owed some serious money. Doesn't mean they can storm in like that, though, scaring my other patrons. What happened when they caught up with Hank? Hank took them outside, and when he came back in, he said it was all sorted. Sorted how? He paid them. They've been around looking for him a few times. He must have got the money from somewhere to get them off his back. These feel like... Oh, okay, they are connected. I must have tried something different and thought I did this. That's my bad. There was something else. The guys that came looking for you yesterday, I understand they were here to collect your debt? Who said I'm in debt? I paid those guys and that's the end of it. Must have been worrying having people like that after you. Sort it out. They won't be back. That failed investment can't have helped. You must have been pretty angry at Michael. Look, it was meant to help me pay off some money elsewhere. Didn't work out, so I had to find another way. I know if someone had done that to me and I lost everything, I'd have been furious. He deceived you. Sounded like such a good deal. It was meant to be a sure thing. He knew your situation. He knew you couldn't afford to lose. Sounds like he betrayed your trust. Did he apologize after? No, but... So you didn't feel guilty about what he'd done to you. You lost everything while he lost nothing. I didn't think he would do that to me. We were friends. He betrayed me. I guess. I still think it's Carl, but... I mean, I'm not a detective. Far be it from me. By the time we got back to the station, Uniform had found Michael's missing plaque hidden in the dumpster behind the office, wrapped in a bloody towel. Your murder weapon. Even without the forensic results in yet, Lou was eager to head straight back to Hank. He thought mentioning the weapon would make him slip up and admit something. And you? I wasn't so sure. There's more to the case. I spoke with the clients whose money Michael had lost. That's motive right there. They were out of the country on business. As expected, they weren't overly sympathetic to hear Michael had died. It amazes me how money means more to some people. I can't talk. It amazes me how money means more to some people than human life. Which is why we needed to find out what else was on Michael's computer. We had no idea what the money transfer on his computer meant, and with the Uniform coming up empty, finding anything else on the hard drive. It had been sent to Lou's friend to do some digging, so we went to speak with her. I do love how this is going. But I know it ends badly for everyone involved. Poor Lou.
He was, what, our second case? Yeah. Second or third, but I'm pretty sure second.
Sorry. We need to get as much as we can out of Michael's computer and find out exactly what he was up to with that transaction.
If anyone can get that information, it'll be Stacy. She may look like a normal teen, but she is a whiz with a keyboard.
Let's hope so, because if it was down to me... Well, we'll leave it at that. Look at how I walk. Forward, backward. Yeah. Miss Wilson, I'm Detective Houston, and you know my partner.
Detective Houston, Lou, how can I help?
We're here for the computer that was left with you.
Of course.
We're looking for anything that might shed some light on what Michael was up to.
Well, for starters, it looks like someone had been trying to get into his computer.
What makes you say that?
Last time someone used the computer, they had trouble with the password. They only got it on the last try, unless Michael had a really bad memory. I'd say there was an unauthorized access. You said there was a transaction still on the screen when you found it?
That's right.
I don't think he made it. It looks like he was investigating someone making those transactions.
What else can you tell me about what Michael was investigating?
Some of the files were corrupted, but lucky for you, corrupted files are my specialty. I managed to recover them all.
What did you find?
Money transactions between the Onward Investment Bank and another account.
Did you find anything out about where the money was going?
That's the thing. I looked, but I couldn't find anything.
What do you mean? Nothing at all?
Only the name of the business, Smith Logistics. I tried to find out more about the account number, but came up blank. They were receiving money from the Onward Investment account, and that's it. Take a look for yourself. I set it up on the counter over there.
Thank you for your help. Without you, we would still be staring at the password screen.
Smith, Benefactory, James Cooper, Director, account number 936112550. Investment history, Smith, play reference, CO, play role, investment manager, no investment found. Receive payment from Onward Investment Bank for payment of investment received by James Cooper. Cash deposit, cash deposit, cash deposit, cash deposit. 50,000 each time for a lovely total of 200,000 USD. So he is there. So he is there. What did she say?
These transfers, they are always on Friday around 8:30 p.m.
And who do we know that's always in the office on Friday evening?
It doesn't look great for Hank. Looks like Michael discovered the truth about Smith Logistics,
and he wound up paying the price for it.
There must be a connection between someone in the office and that company. We need to track down this James Cooper. If his name is on the transfer receipt, he must know something. The employee reference, CO, Carl Onwin.
You think it was Carl that set up the company?
He's been working with them in some capacity.
If anyone's going to know more about them, it's the guy that was assigned to the company account in the first place. Okay, interesting. I think it's present. He was investigating because he was hacked, for whatever that matters, doesn't. Well, while we go into this, these past few days have been a little something. Well, I won't say past few days. Yesterday was something. It was crazy. I was talking about it when I started streaming yesterday. I was like, oh, I could lose power because of the wind. Oh, that was not even half of it, let me say. The wind then was nothing. It got so much worse later on. And it was freezing rain and snow, but the freezing rain and the wind, you couldn't see a thing outside. Even if you looked out, it was nothing but white. It was crazy. We haven't had a storm like that in a while. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Talking about that, I found that. No sign of any capital invested by that company, and yet they're still receiving regular payouts. Looks like straight up fraud to me. Money is being paid directly from Onwin investment in Smith Logistics, but if it's a shell company, who's really been receiving all that money? Maybe Michael found out, and that's why he was killed. Well, we had the why. I won't go too crazy with things. And I missed something. But I was right. That's what matters here. In this specific game. The why does matter if it was an actual investigation, but in a game, no. We could rule out Michael being behind the missing funds, and when we looked further into Smith Logistics, there was no sign of a real company at all, merely a receiving account offshore. How did they get away with sending funds to a shell company for so long? I suppose if no one was looking, it had to be someone in the office who knew how to cover the tracks. First thought, Carl. Which is why I wanted to check out his alibi. On the employee key card record, Carl hadn't even swiped out the day of Michael's death. We had heard he was at one of his regular haunts, the Bird in the Hand, which didn't surprise me, a hideout for the wealthy who loved to flash the cash. Carl to a T. The results were back in for the plaque and tally, confirming Michael's blood, but the plaque had been wiped clean, not a single usable print. The killer was clever enough to cover his tracks. Without any hard evidence on either Hank or Carl, we were pitting one story against the other. Lou was still adamant on Hank's involvement and questioning why I didn't think the same. I was hoping someone at the jazz bar would be able to confirm Carl's arrival time. It's because the captain didn't want him involved. Or he didn't want his old cases coming up, or something. Something to do with Merrick. I knew I didn't trust him from the moment I saw him. Carl's name came up. Words. Carl's name has come up in connection to Smith Logistics. If he's involved with that, he's likely involved with silencing Michael to cover his tracks. I don't get why he would take money from his own family business, though. Maybe there's more to it than we know. There's only one way we'll find the truth. Oh, no, that's Carl. I don't want to talk to you right now, Carl. I want to talk to this fine gentleman over here. I'm Detective Houston. I'd like to speak with someone that was working last night. I was on the evening shift. Okay, would you mind answering a few questions? Of course. You must have seen Mr. Onwin last night. I didn't see Mr. Onwin, only Carl. That's who I was referring to. Oh, I'm sorry, we only call the senior Onwin Mr. Onwin around here. Even if he is always well-dressed and presented, it doesn't make him anything like his father. You don't sound like his biggest fan? I'll put it delicately, I have never met a more self-absorbed and egotistical man in my life. Not a fan. Got it. Did you notice anything different or off about Carl last night? Not really. Apart from being late to his table. How late are we talking? He was always here on a Friday like clockwork for 9:30 p.m. But not last night. He checks his coat, orders, or should I say demands his drink, and makes the usual call. Tell me about his usual call. He's been doing it for a while now. He must have spoken to Jake, the boss, because he lets him use the phone.
Do you know who he calls?
All I know is that it's an international number. It's super long. It's a super long number to dial. He asked me to do it once and got pretty angry when I got it wrong.
Is that a regular thing for him to do? To get angry, I mean?
It wasn't the first time he's exploded at me. He likes things his way, but he's a good tipper, so he usually gets it.
When else has he acted like that?
He wasn't happy when his credit card bounced. His company credit card, I like to add. Never seen him spend a dime of his own money.
Let me guess, it was your fault for not charging it properly.
You got it. I'm certainly never sad to see him leave.
I think that is everything. Thanks again. Alright. Mr. Onman, I was hoping to speak to you about the death of your colleague, Michael Dew.
In my office, where I work.
Perhaps the death of a colleague is more important than it happening where you work.
For you, maybe, I have to go back and pretend like nothing happened.
Yes, it must be very hard for you. Anyway, I have some questions.
What do you want?
Can you tell me what time you left the office on the night of Michael's death?
I left about 8 p.m. I had a few things to study up, a new account that you wouldn't understand anyway.
What would I know after all? I'm just a cop.
What was your
relationship like with Michael?
We were colleagues, you said. I don't know what else there is to say.
Okay, it doesn't sound like you two were particularly close.
Him and I, not so much. He'd certainly got comfortable with my father, though. He had a lot of influence when it came to decision-making.
Decisions about what? As senior investment manager, was that not his job?
Well, maybe, but that doesn't mean he could take my place. He acted like it was his company.
How were you with the rest of the office? Hank, for example.
What's he got to do with anything? He's just the cleaner.
Am I wrong in thinking you went for a drink with him recently?
No, you're right. He wanted to talk to me outside of the office. I said we should grab a drink.
What did he want to talk about?
He said he had some cash issues and asked if I could help out. I assumed it had something to do with his gambling habit.
Have you ever heard about a company called Smith Logistics?
Can't say that I have. Should I have?
What about a James Cooper?
Got me again. What's he got to say about me?
Well, you have to track him down. I thought you might be able to help with that.
If I knew who you were talking about...
Hank asked to borrow money. Okay, we'll just leave it at that for now and see if we can get anything on this. I've got more questions.
What do you want?
If you've not heard of Smith Logistics, can you tell me what your name is doing on its account?
My name, unless someone has... Oh, would that be the account Michael asked me to look at a while back?
You tell me.
He wanted me to look into something to do with a logistics company, but I didn't get the chance to. I've just been so busy profiting from my own accounts and investors.
What was it that Michael wanted you to look into about them?
I couldn't tell you. I had my own accounts to be looking after. I wonder why he was wanting my name on the account.
We've been through the keycard log of the night of Michael's death, and there's no record of you leaving the office.
You know who my father is, right? That's for the employees.
Employees like yourself.
I have a set of master keys. When your name is on the building, you can come and go as you please. I hate this man. I hate this man. This might actually count. How did you get on?
The waiter told me about Carl making international calls when he was in on a Friday around 9:30 p.m. Seems more than just a coincidence that it's just after the time of the money transfers.
Will you really make those calls himself?
He also said Carl arrived later than usual yesterday and was in a rush to make his usual call.
Operations like that would need a tightly run ship. I can't see it working if he was late making calls.
Looks like we can't verify where either of our suspects were at the time of the murder, only their movements before or after.
Are we just meant to believe them, especially in XCOM?
Hank's lost key card, and Carl using master keys. I don't know which one I believe less.
Okay, now I'm back to being stumped. So, the company card being rejected. I wonder if that would be connected to that. Yeah. That makes sense. Hank asked to borrow money. That's a question. But we'll do this first.
Looks to me like Carl might have finally been cut off.
From his father. He was working at the investment office. Why would he need to take handouts from him anyway?
You met Carl. You really think he was going to say no to free money? If his company credit card bounced on just a round of drinks, it looks like that's the end of his free ride.
Maybe? No. Okay. This should be something.
I've got more questions.
What do you want?
The waiter mentioned that you had a little trouble with the drinks bill the other night.
He should keep his nose out and his mouth shut. I used the wrong card, that's all.
The company card?
So what if it was? What's that got to do with anything?
I wouldn't have expected such a high flyer like yourself to have any problems with money.
And I shouldn't have, except Dad's been listening to his new senior manager too much.
Michael?
If he had just kept his opinion to himself, I wouldn't have had to be embarrassed like that. It's this. It has to be this. Missing evidence. I don't care. This is in the past, so they already know.
We left the bar still not completely sure on either Hank or Carl's connection to it all.
What was your gut telling you?
My gut said Carl, but Lou still thought Hank was involved somehow.
Am I missing something here?
Lou said he had received a tip to say that Hank had been seen hanging around with the same lot that got him locked up in the first place.
Okay, that doesn't mean he killed Michael.
But to Lou, it meant he couldn't be trusted. He was an ex-con with a history of fraud-related crimes. Lou thought he was never going to change, and his place was behind bars. I thought we should go back to the investment office. There must have been something we missed. Okay. I still don't know why this is called the hammer and the chain, but, you know. I'll take a look around. There must be something we missed the first time.
What are you expecting to find?
Something that's going to help us say definitively who's behind the fraud and Michael's murder.
If you ask me, there's no denying Hank's involvement.
And you're just happy to ignore Carl's obvious connections to Smith Logistics?
You can go in here. Found the hidden item. It's not what I wanted. but I will take it. Michael, the information that follows is highly confidential. I trust I can count on your discretion. My accountant has informed me of some irregularities in our books for this quarter. Having looked through the cash accounts, the balances are far lower than what our books report. As you know, I'm going to be out of the country from tomorrow for a few weeks, so I'd like you to take the reins on an internal investigation. I give you full permission to do what you have to, full access to all accounts and files to find out what has happened. Consider everyone a potential suspect. No one is off the table. No one. I'll expect an update by Friday. I know you're going to be taking on some of my other duties while I'm away, but this is a priority. I have every faith in you. Sincerely, C. Onwin Sr. No one. He knew. Onwin Sr. knew that it was his son. To whom it may concern, I regret to inform you of the recent passing of Mr. James Cooper, a client of Onwin Investment Bank. His death on 2nd January has been a great shock to family and friends alike, and his life is to be celebrated at St. Mark's Church on 14th of January. Having spoken with his family, they have informed me that they wish to close his investment accounts and withdraw all capital effective immediately. If you require any further information, including copies of Mr. Cooper's death certificate, my office will be happy to oblige. I thank you in advance for your cooperation and understanding. Yours sincerely, Mr. P. Malcolm Goldstein and Wagner Law. Okay, is there anything up there? Because they didn't really let me investigate up there. Yeah. The fact his business cards are all torn up there, that speaks volumes. Okay. Trial assigned 6 weeks ago. He was dead. So Michael was investigating a fraud. Yeah, it was blatantly Carl. Carl obviously thought no one would notice a dead man's account being reopened, and no one did. Until Michael started investigating. Oh, I didn't realize that said Carl. I just read the senior investment manager, duh. Find anything incriminating? Looks like Carl was a little quick off the bat getting a senior investment manager cards made. The secretary was right. He must have thought he was next in line to the business. And instead, Michael was promoted over him. He can't have taken it well. Could have been the last straw. Doesn't mean you killed him. Would you kill me over promotion? Well, Hank said he saw Carl acting suspiciously around Michael's desk. Maybe he knew about Michael's investigation and was trying to see what he had found. What is acting suspiciously exactly? Hank didn't see Carl actually do anything. Carl could easily have found Michael's old password, and he knows about the required resetting of them. He could have made an educated guess. All circumstantial. Hank could have done the exact same. He has prior as a con artist, his own friend's words. Not exactly. But he didn't disagree. town is this? There we are.
So Michael was ordered to investigate the missing money. When the secretary found him in the archives, he must have been looking for evidence.
Do you think Onwin Sr. had any idea who was behind it?
He must have trusted Michael enough to assume it wasn't him. Looks like everyone else was a suspect, though.
I know what I know now. Like, without any doubt. This is what happened. Yeah. I'm missing 2 pieces of evidence. That's not terrible. Because I could have literally done that from the beginning, because I knew.
We were finishing up at the office when Lou hit me with a bombshell.
Let me guess, he had miraculously found some evidence against Hank.
No, not so much found, more ready to plant.
What do you mean? Lou wanted to set Hank up? How could he even suggest that?
He said the orders had come from Merrick himself. Apparently I missed the memo about that meeting.
Merrick wouldn't have ordered that. He couldn't have.
I told you he couldn't be trusted. He had convinced Lou that Hank should be behind bars for the good of the town.
Sending an innocent man back to jail is good for the town. I just can't believe it.
I told Lou how ridiculous it all sounded. We were cops, and someone's life he was prepared to ruin.
You didn't go ahead with it, did you?
Of course not. I managed to talk him out of it, but we both knew Merrick wasn't going to be happy.
Take on Merrick would be no easy feat.
Exactly. We talked about just doing what I thought was right and arresting Carl. After all, the evidence pointed to him.
Did you have enough to convict him, though?
That was the problem. We had to make sure the evidence could hold up, meaning we'd have to find something concrete on him. I know you don't have to give me that look, but planting evidence on a guilty man to get the conviction is nothing like planting on an innocent man and sending him to jail.
It's similar, because it's still planting evidence.
I had to report it. If I didn't report it, Merrick would get away with it again and again. Little I know that Merrick had connections at the Tribune and friends at City Hall.
Clancy Brown?
Bingo! He was just a reporter back then when I went to see him. Told him about the case, obviously keeping a few facts out of the press, but enough about what Merrick was up to.
City Hall is in Governor Johnson.
The governor was obviously in on Merrick's plan, if not behind it from the beginning. He must have heard about me going to Clancy and made him a better deal. The position of editor for his sense of morals.
Now I know why you can't stand being near them.
The whole story was twisted, and Lou became the fall guy. It was our word against the police captains and the governors.
So Lou got fired?
And I have put down here my warning from Merrick to stay in line. That's why you were sent to spy on me. He's been looking for any excuse to fire me.
And what happened to Carl and Hank?
What do you think? He got away scot-free from the law anyway. I don't know the details, but I can't imagine Onwin Sr. would let his son get away with stealing money from his business. Hank lost his job as a cleaner. Even being involved in an investigation like that was a breach of his second chance program, and he got sent back to jail. It was all my fault. I thought I was doing the right thing, and all I wound up doing was ruining 2 people's lives.
You did what any good officer would have done. Thank you for telling me.
You know now why we have to nail the governor for what he has done.
Where do we go from here, then? Wonder who that could be.
And it's Merrick. Most certainly it's Merrick.
DCA Detective Clark speaking. Detective Clark, this is Mark Tripp. I think it's time we met. I have some information you're going to want to hear. To be continued. Well, with that as it is, we're going to end this stream. We'll be back tomorrow with something. Might continue this, might continue the captain. I don't think we're going to do Godless Tactics tomorrow. We might do something different entirely. After that, we'll be off for 2 days. Then return on, what would that make that day? Wednesday with Godless Tactics, followed by the captain, followed by more Murder Mystery Machines. That'd be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Then Saturday we'll be back with more Godless Tactics. Sunday we'll be back with more of the Captain, and next Monday we'll be back with more Murder Mystery Machine, because it'll be a 6-day stretch of actually doing things. But for now, we're gonna call that here, because this one's at an end. So we'll be back tomorrow with something, I don't know what. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to have you around again. Farewell.